Hi everyone, welcome back to Manitoulin Cooks. I'm your host, Tammy Albers, and in this segment we're making my mom's and my grandma's baking powder biscuits. The good old, I think I've been making them since I was 8 or 10. I've got the oven heating. Pretty soon we'll hear it beep, which is, an attractive part of ovens. So I'm starting with 2 cups of unbleached flour. If you can buy flour unbleached, parchment paper unbleached, coffee filters unbleached, that's the way to go. Why do we want to eat bleach? Not so healthy. It's not so good. So it's better to spoon your flour in and scrape and level than it is to just scoop out, because it adds an awful lot of weight and can dry things up a little too much. And so we have 2 cups of flour. And kind of leveled, and a spoon left it there. And I have a dish full of hot soapy water at all times, because you don't want to be left with a bunch of cleanup afterwards. It's so great to be able to clean. And I missed. It's great to be able to clean as you go. I have a 1/4 cup of sugar. For people who eat, so I'm going to combine really healthy, mindful food with down-home country comfort food, because balance is everything. It really is. Life is all about balance. So I have a 1/4 cup of sugar. In here I have 4 teaspoons of baking powder and 3/4. So we have baking powder. Now I just made my finger white. And 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I'll clean some flour off there. And put that all in the sink. Clean my finger. There we go. And I often use a fork, but I thought for this I would use a whisk and whisk it up so all the dry ingredients are combined. And that makes life a lot easier. And I will get out a fork very soon. Right here. It's nice to have the cutlery right handy, isn't it? And then I'll move the cloth. So we have a well in the center. So back in my grandmother's day, they used lard or bacon fat or whatever they had on hand. And over time, my grandma modified it to oil, any kind of good quality oil. It's just easier to mix up. And you want to make sure, there are certain oils I would never buy. There's 4 tablespoons of oil.
What oil are you using now?
This is, again, how many did I put in there?
3.
Okay, thank you. This is, again, the grapeseed oil. I bake with it. I cook with it. I sometimes use olive oil. I sometimes use coconut oil. But I would never use safflower oil. Sorry, safflower people. What's a safflower? I would use sunflower oil.
What's a safflower?
It's rapeseed. It's rapeseed, and it's that yellow stuff that grows in large fields, and is genetically modified product.
It is or it isn't?
It is.
Okay.
Yes. So we won't be putting that in because we don't want to lose customers.
Okay.
But there are oils I would never use. Ethically and health-wise, there are certain oils I wouldn't cook with. So you work your fork in this until it's crumbly, little pea-sized crumbles. So it's worked through. I have an egg that I'm sitting safely in here, and I'm getting 3/4 of a cup of water, which I probably should have gotten before, but we're winging it. And then we bend down and we see if it's 3/4 of a cup, give or take. We take our fork, we break the egg in the cup. Look at that, a piece of shell. This is me cooking from home. There we are. I often wash out the eggshells and ground them up and use them in my vegetable and flower beds. because they're so nutritious for the soil. Then we whisk this up, make some noise, splatter, do the things we do, and pour it in. I won't throw this because it's glass. So I've heard a lot of people say they can't make pastry, or they can't make biscuits, or they don't make bread because they don't know. A lot of this stuff is so simple, so easy, but it's about what you do with your hands when you're working this product. And some people are very hard on with their hands. My dad's first pie crust, he needed it because he didn't know you shouldn't. So the filling was fabulous, and we pretty much had to use steak knives to cut the crust. But since then, he has learned to make amazing pie crust. My dad's an amazing cook as well.
So tell us, where are you adding flour?
I am now putting flour, sprinkling flour all over the counter because I like it and it's messy.
Like you.
Like me. And then we take our biscuit mixed up, and it's a little sticky, and you'll see why it's still sticky in a moment. A lot of people just mix up the biscuit, flatten it down, and cut it. You can also, with this kind of biscuit, turn it into a scone. You can add berries and lemon, cinnamon and orange and cranberries. When I'm making stews and soups and chilies, I often put grated cheese in it and lots of herbs and some garlic. So they're a multi-purpose biscuit. And I will sprinkle more flour on top of the biscuits because, sometimes we have to be wasteful, but we don't want to be. And then we kind of gently keep folding the biscuit till it's no longer sticky. And the more you fold your biscuit dough, the higher and quicker it'll rise because you're creating layers that help it to grow. Move your dough around a little. And then you take your hands and goober them in the sink because that's a lot of dough on your fingers, which is kind of gross, but fun. And we move the flour. So I have this old cookie cutter. Yes, it was my grandma's. And it's great for my molasses cookies. It's great for biscuits. You run it through the flour so it doesn't stick. Keep them close together. And you cut. And I have the oven heating up to 350. Now, my grandma used to have it hotter, but I find the top and bottom get too brown too quickly. And you want to keep your biscuits close together, touching, because you want them to rise up and not out. And that helps with the rising up and not the rising out. And there, the oven is heated up. Did you hear that? Delete. Delete. And then you just kind of smush it again on the flour and cut some more. Probably can get almost 3. Yep, 3. And you lay them together like this, and you take the last pile of dough and you just turn it into a blob. Blobs are good. And you pat it down. And there they are all together. I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I actually got a dozen biscuits out of this. Sometimes I only get 8. I don't know how that happened. And I'm putting that in my oven. And they're done when they're golden. Golden on top, golden on the bottom. So if you're going to invest in gadgets, this beast, made by Brown Company, is a gift from God. It scrapes up everything. It scrapes up dough. It scrapes up flour. It's wonderful after you've rolled pastry.